June 25th, 2002, Tuesday. I'm at work. I brought some Bone Thugs and Harmony, Dr. Dre's The Chronic, and Warren G. It's been awesome listening to music from when I was 11, 12, and 13. Flynn is letting me borrow The Thin Red Line and Blade Runner. As if I don't have enough to watch right now. Fucking Lawrence of Arabia is like 5 hours long. 2:45 p.m. Listening to Warren G last night and today has made me think about Aaron S., a girl I dated in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. Not all the way through those years, but off and on. Anyway, it flashed me back to the one and only time I was at her house and how I never treated her right, like most girls. I just wrote a rough draft of a letter I'll try and give to her. 3:20 p.m. I'm now debating whether or not to actually give Erin that letter. Not that I'm afraid to, but I'm thinking maybe it's not that I need to say these things to her or make sure she knows this. Perhaps I just needed to realize these things. I needed to sit down and reflect on how good she was to me, you know. Maybe it wouldn't be good for me to give her the letter. I don't know. Maybe I will still. Quote, any film or piece of art that is successful, controversial, or pisses people off is something that simply makes them look at a part of their lives they wish not to acknowledge. End quote. I'm not sure if that's an actual quote or that's my own writing. 2 a.m., Wednesday. I cruised down the street Erin lived on tonight on the way home from work. Her house used to be blue, but now there's not a blue house on her street. I looked up her last name in the phone book, and of course, yeah, there's 100 people with her last name. I looked for one that lives on Park Street. There were 4 families that lived on various 100 blocks of Park. Surprisingly, I recognized her phone number from calling it 6+ years ago. I got home and watched The Thin Red Line, which I actually liked. It was beautifully shot. I'd like to do a picture like that someday. Then I watched Blade Runner. I've tried watching it before, but it was boring, and yeah, it's still slow. After that, I watched a documentary on Out of Africa and popped in Lawrence of Arabia. Luke called from Texas, and we talked for about an hour. It just proved, talking to Luke, that how out of the loop I am. I guess Kirk doesn't work for Mako anymore, and his mom is fucking engaged. I don't know. After talking to Luke, I broke out my letters. Who's she engaged to? As fucked up as it seems, I have every letter a girl has ever written me, from 7th grade on. I read through all the ones from middle school to high school, not including Marilyn's. She has her own book. It was funny, yet sad and shocking to see the way I was back then. Some of the letters back to me were pretty heavy and talked about things I had written that were XXX. It was an interesting thing, though, psychologically, when pertaining to how different girls are. Some 7th grade girls when I was in 7th grade were nervous about kissing. Then some 7th grade girls when I was in 8th grade were talking about how much they wanted to blow me. Interesting. A while back, I had the idea to type all those letters up, which I still plan to do. I also thought about explaining them all and tell the complete story of every girl. They may not like that. It was calming to see, however, that Erin wrote me very XXX stuff like I did to her, so if she ever wanted to blackmail me, I could do the same. Looking back at my life, I see that I'm not much different than I was. I was a cheating bastard then, too. While I was dating this girl named Lisa, I was fondling and Frenching Christina. While I was dating Haley, I was dry humping Daria. It just goes to prove that I'm an American asshole, which could possibly be the title of my next book. End quote. Whatever tomorrow brings, I'll be there, with open arms and open eyes. Incubus, Song, Drive.